It's an absolutely stunning day outside Toronto, but in the midst of the Canadian beauty and tranquility comes the roar of engines, the twists and turns of racing competition. Welcome to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. With 2 races remaining until the chase, it's all about who's out and who's in. Timothy Peters is 47 points to the good, but he's still the most vulnerable. He's on the chase bubble. The first man out is Cameron Haley. Points are a distant option. He needs to win, and there would be no better place to do it than here. The Canadian is home. Cole Custer is a long way from his California home, but the teenager has had his own zip code this weekend. He shattered the track record in qualifying and hopes this is the day he clinches his spot in the chase. But there's always a spoiler lurking, and today that's Austin Cindric. He's not chase eligible, but he's no less a race favorite. He stood in victory lane here before. He hopes to put his truck there for the first time today.
The NASCAR family mourns the loss of Betty Jane France, who passed away earlier in the week. Her love, compassion, and leadership impacted millions of lives through her tireless work, including the NASCAR Foundation. Our thoughts and prayers are with the France family and the many lives she touched throughout the years. Please join us as we observe a minute of silence. Ladies and gentlemen, that we now ask at this time that you please rise and remove your hats as the Royal Canadian Mounted Police present our nation's colors as well as the colors of our friends to the south in the United States of America. Please remain standing as Kyle Froman from the Motor Racing Outreach offers today's invocation.
Let's pray. God, we realize that you are found in the beauty of all that you've made. So it doesn't take long for us to find you here in the Canadian countryside. We thank you for such a gorgeous day that you've blessed us with. God, as we start this event, we pause to remember a wonderful lady. God, a lady who lived authentically and generously. A lady who left her fingerprint on so many of us. God, we pray for the France and Kennedy family that your abundant peace would be with them as we remember Miss Betty Jane France. God, I pray that all that know her would be found themselves in the middle of your embrace. God, all around this facility, whether we're competing or spectating, we recognize your presence with us and ask that you'd protect us as we work. God, we love you and we pray that all we do today is honoring to you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
And now, ladies and gentlemen, here to perform the United States of America's national anthem as well as our own, please welcome Scotty Newlands.
Oh, say, can you see by the dawn's early light what so proudly we hailed at the twilight's last gleaming, whose broad stripes and bright stars through the perilous fight o'er the ramparts we watch were so gallantly streaming, and the rockets regulate, the bombs bursting in it, gave proof through the night that our flag was still there. Oh, say does that star-spangled banner yet wave for the land of the free and the home of the brave. Oh, Canada, our home and native land, true patriot love in all thy sons command. With glowing hearts we see thee rise, the true north. forth strong and free. From far and wide, oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. God keep our land glorious and free. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee. Oh Canada, we stand on guard for thee.
The fans are ready on a beautiful day. The teams, they may look relaxed now, but they're churning inside. The chase is just 2 races. The tension is mounting, the chase is looming, and we're getting ready to go road course racing. It is an absolutely beautiful setting for today's race here outside of Toronto at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Good afternoon. Glad to have you with us with Michael Waltrip and Phil Parsons. I'm Vince Welch. You know, it's not challenging enough that it's the only road course race of the season. Lots of twists and turns, but it's the only time we come here, and the chase is just 2 races away. There is a lot on the line here today. And Phil, as if the road course isn't challenging enough, I mean, there are a lot of places that things can go wrong for you here.
And Vince, it's so fast. We've set a new track record every time we've been here. But this year, Cole Custer destroyed the track record by almost a second. We have such a great mix of high-speed corners and slow corners. And probably enter these corners about 130 miles an hour, the high-speed corners. And we have so many opportunities here to go wrong, really. We've got a couple blind corners, turns 1 and turns 2, right-hander turn 1, turn 2. And then we've got turn 3, very, very tough little right-hander, second gear. That's going to lead us up towards turn number 4. Going to go over there, another blind corner, number 4 here. It's a left-hander, and that leads us in, as we go into turn 4, it leads us into this all-important turn 5A. It's amazing. It's a double apex corner down to 40 miles an hour. Some guys will go all the way to first gear down here. So critical to get off this corner because you're upwards of 170 miles an hour, Mikey, on this back straightaway.
The anticipation and the speed build, Phil, as you head down this back straightaway. Watch this last lap pass by Ryan Blaney. 2 of the 3 years we've been here has seen a last corner, last lap pass for the win. You see Blaney doing it there, the classic crossover move. He did it with precise execution, or you could just knock someone out of the way. Chase Elliott run over Ty Dillon. He goes to victory lane as well. There's so many different ways to win here in Canada, and like you said, Phil, there's a lot of places to make a mistake. Record speeds and blind corners. What could possibly go wrong, eh?
What a great recipe.
And the speed is up, and these guys are ready. They love road racing.
And there's so much on the line. How do the nerves play into it if you're one of those drivers trying to get one of those final 2 chase spots?
Oh, it's unbelievable here. I think they've had nerves for 2-3 weeks now, and it's not going to go away unless you win this race here today. It's going to be there till we go to Chicago in 2 weeks.
A lot of strategy, too, Michael. A lot of different options for strategy.
Yeah, we have a guy that's the favorite. Cole, he's the guy you got to beat. You got to do something different than him if you're going to win.
Let's go downstairs and get the command.
It's official now. We're going racing at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park.
A chase spot is on the line. 10 drivers still alive and in the hunt. 32 will roll when we come back to Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Don't bother looking for a cloud. There isn't one. It is absolutely perfect here in Canada today as we get ready for 64 laps on this terrific course at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. And Phil, there's going to be literally a lot of twists and turns, figuratively as well.
Yeah, there certainly is. You see this race is about 157 miles. Our caution clock will come on somewhere between 14 and 15 laps. You see our previous winners here from the 3 times we've been here.
And our Camping World track description includes this wonderful map of the track.
Yeah, we talked about the blind corners. Turn 1 there, that right-hander after the front straightaway is blind. 2A is blind also. 2B, important to get off that corner. You go into that right-hander, second gear down there to turn number 3. The little left-hander, number 4, into the all-important number 5A and 5B. Again, down to 40 miles an hour. Some guys will probably go all the way to the first gear, but you have to get through that corner good, Mikey, to get down that back straightaway.
Yeah, we're going to hit upwards of 170 miles an hour as we race down the Mario Andretti straightaway into the tricky turn 8. We saw the action that happens in turn 10. This place has a little bit of everything. The elevation changes, I think, are what most get the driver's attentions.
It's going to be fun today, and as we talked about in the Open, so many places to get to the line and so many places to step over the line, and it's going to be fun, that's for sure. And let's take a look at some of the onboard cameras that we'll have today to show you some unique looks.
Well, why not start out with a Canadian, Gary Clute here. He won here in the Pinty Series last year. He's got Jegs on board that truck, and he's going to start from the 15th spot.
Let's head up to row 6 and hop on board with Timothy Peters. He's in the Red Horse Racing Toyota Tundra. Got a good picture of Timothy there, checking his gauges. He also has a really cool camera on the front of this truck. Check this out. We're going to see action right down on the road on this bumper cam from the Peters Toyota.
Why don't we ride along with a Ford on board of Tyler Reddick? There's one thing on his mind here, guys. That's win this race. He knows he can't point his way in. He's got to get to victory lane. We're going to have a great foot camera here. We're going to keep an eye on what Tyler does with his feet, and they start from the 8th spot.
Right ahead of him is Cameron Haley in the Cabinets by Haley Toyota Tundra. He's going to start in the 7th position. And check this out. We can look at him from the side. He also has a camera where we can look straight back at him and watch him as he works the steering wheel around these 10 turns here in Canada. Great pictures for us to watch today.
Guys, why don't we just go right up to the pole in this Haas Automation Chevy for Cole Custer. An amazing job qualifying, new track record. Same situation as Tyler Reddick. He has to get to victory lane, and he's our definite favorite here.
Well, we'll have it covered for you upstairs and downstairs on pit road. Two of the finest pit reporters, beginning with Hermie Sadler.
Well, thank you, Vince. What an emotional roller coaster it's been the last couple of weeks for Ben Kennedy. A couple of weeks ago, he's in victory lane celebrating his first ever Camping World Truck Series victory at the Bristol Motor Speedway. Earlier this week, on the other end of the spectrum, mourning the loss of his grandmother and NASCAR First Lady, Betty Jane France. Early this morning at the drivers' meeting here at Canadian Tire Motorsport Park, Ben addressed his fellow competitors.
Obviously a difficult week for our family with the passing of my grandmother, Betty Jane France. We race with heavy hearts not only here today in Canada, but Darlington as well. Just want to take the time to say thank you to you guys. On behalf of the France and Kennedy families, thank you all for all of your outreach and support, thoughts and prayers. It's really been amazing to see the outreach of the NASCAR community and shows how strong we all are together. And Betty Jane will be remembered for a long time as, with a strong footprint on the sport, not only for raising awareness for children's health causes like Speediatrics and the NASCAR Foundation, but just a strong, genuine, and charismatic person she was.
All of us here at Fox Sports 1 pass our condolences to the France and Kennedy family, and a lot of decals, every truck carrying a commemorative sticker on the trucks today. Caitlin?
Well, Hermie, this weekend, Brad Keselowski Racing has brought 3 trucks to the road course with the addition of the 2-team and Austin Cindric, who's had proven success on the road courses. And I just spoke with his crew chief just a moment ago, Brian Wilson, who came over from the Penske Xfinity side. He said they put a lot of resources into this race. They've got 9 spotters, 3 per driver, working with them throughout the course of this race. But we could potentially see a similar situation that we saw last race at Michigan, where Brett Moffitt went to victory lane. He's not a Truck Series regular. The same thing could happen today with Austin Cindric. And if that's the case, it could be very beneficial to his BKR teammate, Daniel Hemrick, and to Timothy Peters as well. Vince?
Well, it's an interesting scenario, that's for sure, Caitlin, as, of course, Daniel Hemrick currently sits 7th in the chase standings. 8 drivers make the chase. And if you're not Hemrick winning, you'd certainly like to have your teammate who's not stealing one of those chase spots away from you go to victory lane.
Yeah, or somebody that's already won. You definitely don't want a new winner. Right now, the odds-on favorite is Cole Custer, and they're going to try to do all they can do to keep him out of victory lane.
Getting ready to go green at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. 2 spots left to make the chase. Back at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, 64 laps. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series getting ready to go green. That's Cole Custer on the outside, the 2 of Tim Cindric's son, Austin Cindric, on the inside in that blue truck. and we are green and racing in Canada.
There's that onboard view from Timothy Peters.
Right side still there.
Spotters play a key role in these guys knowing when they can hit the corners. Upwards of 3-4 spotters per truck around this track. That's why it's so difficult to see around it.
Throughout the course of the weekend, we've thought the first 3 trucks have shown themselves to be the strongest. Cole Custer, Daniel Hemrick, Austin Cindric, and they are 1, 2, 3 right now as we ride on board with Cameron Haley, who's back in that 6th spot.
There's a couple of other guys right now in the top 5 that also showed some speed in practice. William Byron and Kaz Gralla. William in that 9 truck running 4th. Kaz, a limited schedule this year, running in the 5th spot, 17 years old.
A couple of teenagers battling there inside the top 5. Our top 5 average age, 19 years old.
Top 10 was 20 years old.
The sport is all about youth. See one of the veterans there, Johnny Sauter, racing down the inside of that long Mario Andretti straightaway.
Still trying to sort themselves out, too wide going into turn 8. Not a lot of room down there as you see Cole Custer coming around, completing the first lap as he comes through 10 and on the front straightaway. Cole Custer leads the first lap.
He's not been able to shake Daniel Hemrick. Daniel's right there with a truck length or 2 of them.
It's amazing. Hemrick, this is just his 2nd race in a full-bodied vehicle on a road course, and he's looked like a veteran this weekend.
Well, he's a world-class race car driver, so it's no surprise to me that he's able to make this transition and become a great road racer. Had a top 5 here last year, guys.
You know, Cole Custer, we talked about at the opening, he's shown all the speed. We talk about strategies when we come to road courses. The crew chiefs down in the garage area are going to try to figure out, do something different than Cole Custer is going to do for strategy. You can make this race on 1 stop. Maybe the others do it on 2, trying to get a leg up on that young man because he has been solid every lap on the racetrack.
And that's one of the challenges you have, isn't it, Michael, when you've got so many drivers still eligible to make the chase. But we've got 10 drivers that if they win today, they get one of those chase spots. And they all see Cole Custer as the favorite, so we've got to do something else.
I was talking to Chad Kendrick down in the garage area, and actually Chad Kendrick is Daniel Hemrick's crew chief. Marcus Richmond, who's Cole Custer's crew chief, walked up. I said, Chad, what's your plan? He said, I'm going to do the opposite of what this guy does. No matter what he does, I'm going to do the opposite. And more importantly, the 2 truck of Austin Cindric is going to do the same strategy as what the 00 does. So teammates have 2 different strategies.
There's no question there's some teammate work going on here this weekend.
Let's hop on board Timothy Peters from ground level. That's an awesome picture. Watch this turn, Phil. Totally blind as you run down there. You can't see the apex. And then they race off of this and head up the hill.
Going to go up the hill. You see the champion bridge there. They don't see that corner till they get over the top of this hill.
See, Peters a little bit wide. That'll give him a better angle on exit. These guys maneuver their trucks around, trying to figure out if they can gain on entry or if they need to position themselves to get a run off. You're going to make more passes, probably dive bombing inside someone on entry, and that entry is set up by how you get off the exit.
Yeah, they come through turn 4 as they head now down to turn 5, and it's the slowest speed corner on the track, and it's also an opportunity where you can mess up, you can go too far, but you darn well better get off that turn because then you've got that long straightaway, and if you don't get off turn 5, you're going to get eaten up on that straightaway.
Yeah, Timothy's one of the guys that told me that he was going to first gear in turn 5. Most of the other drivers said they're just going to remain in second gear.
How about the pressure on that 18-year-old Cole Custer? Fastest guy in town. That's all he's heard all weekend long. A chase spot, a place in our playoffs on the line. He's got to be perfect all day long.
And have the perfect strategy as well. And sometimes you don't really screw up with your strategy, but things work out where it doesn't work.
Custer still seeking his first win of the season. Was a winner last year at Gateway. In fact, won in his very first season as a Truck Series driver when he was just 16 years old. His best finish this year, 2nd at Iowa. So you look at the 11 of Brett Moffitt come through, being chased by the 23 of Spencer Gallagher. Cole Custer, they've been through a crew chief change earlier in the season. As you see Gallagher take a look underneath the 11 of Brett Moffitt.
And that was set up just like I said. He got a better run off the corner, tried to dive bomb inside of Moffitt, but Brett closed the door. That's some good racing here early in the going.
And what an amazing job that young man Brett Moffitt did at Michigan last week. But Spencer Gallagher is all over the back of him.
Spencer's being aggressive. Watch him here as he races behind Cameron Haley. Tries to get a run off the corner, does just that. Pushes his way inside of Haley, but Haley closes the door on the exit.
It's one of those passing zone opportunities down there in turn 5 where Gallagher tried that move.
That really cost him that spot because you saw the 11 of Brett Moffitt behind him. He got off the corner so poorly that Brett Moffitt was able to pass him down the Andretti straightaway.
And these racers are they're creating a notebook now, Phil. They know where they can get, how they can get off the corner. They understand if they can get to the inside of a guy, and they're making notes for later in the race when it gets down to crunch time.
We talk about the strategy. Right now, we've completed 4 laps. We know the caution clock will come on about 14 or 15 laps. If we go green the rest of the way, it looks like there's a truck in trouble. Looks like maybe Tyler Young in the 0-2. But a lot of these teams, and I think our leader's going to be one of them, that's actually the 71 truck, will probably stop somewhere around lap number 12 before the caution clock comes on because it takes so long to get around this racetrack. You can do your pit work, get back out without losing a lap.
The early stages of the all-important race at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. That's Timothy Peters into the 29 of Tyler Reddick. Six laps completed at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. This wonderful 10-turn facility, just under 2.5 miles, built back in 1961. Such a great racing history here with Formula One and IndyCar, and so thankful to be here in the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series for the 4th time. Looking at the 19 of Daniel Hemrick, being followed by the 2, his teammate for Brad Keselowski Racing, Austin Cindric. Those 2 are running 2nd and 3rd, and they're chasing Cole Custer, who is our pole winner. Set the pole speed in record fashion and has led all 6 of the laps so far here today.
Think about Austin Cindric, Vince. He's an experienced road racer, and he's closing down on his teammate there, Daniel Hemrick, who doesn't have a lot of experience. That could be just his knowledge of what he wants for a setup as the tires go off.
And they may let that 2 go up there, maybe try to put some heat on that 00 of Cole Custer.
It looks like he's got the truck to do it with, too, Phil.
Custer hasn't been challenged yet. How good are things in that 00 camp, Hermie?
Right now, Vince, the truck is too loose. He needs more lateral grip. But these guys have been looking forward to this race for about the last 4 or 5 weeks. Every time we've discussed it with Cole Custer, his need to win, he has mentioned or looked ahead to Canadian Tire Motorsport Park. Oftentimes when you have that kind of pressure, hey, back to the booth, we got a caution.
Well, and that's Ben Rhodes. Rhodes started at the back of the field today after they discovered a brake issue on that 41 truck. He was running 20th at the time, and Ben Rhodes, one of those drivers that was chase eligible, needing a win to get in. It's not going to happen today.
It looks like some pretty significant contact with the tire barrier there. See him moving around in that truck.
That truck was had some brake issues this morning in inspection. They fixed it, started in the back. Man, it's a tough road, Phil, when you start back there trying to work your way up through traffic, and he's buried that thing in there pretty far.
Boy, it really has. It doesn't even look like the front end's there anymore.
Well, watch him coming into the bottom of the frame here, and it's there you go.
He's going the wrong direction for sure. Yeah, I'd say it looked a lot like brake issues there again, don't you think?
Could have very well been.
It's a tricky spot, can be on the track. Had a big wreck there last year in qualifying as we were coming through turn 8, headed to turn 9, and there's good sign seeing Ben Rhodes climbing out of that truck. Rhodes, one of the 4 drivers for Thor Sport.
We're talking at the top of the show. That's one of the fastest by far section of the racetrack, and you certainly don't want to have an issue in that part of it with speeds upward of 170, and that's where things went wrong for Ben.
Certainly disappointing for Ben Rhodes. This is one of those races they had circled on the calendar. He really likes road course racing. Ran all 3 Xfinity Series road course races last year for Dale Jr.'s team, Junior Motorsports. He believed this was a race that they could come in and contend to win, but it hasn't been his weekend, and it certainly has ended prematurely for him here today.
See the very tail end of that field there, the 33 of Ben Kennedy. That strategy started early, guys. While we were away at commercial break, Ben Kennedy brought that truck in on lap number 5 for fuel only. I think a lot of these drivers will forego the opportunity to pit on this competition caution. They'll wait till they go a few more laps and maybe stop under green again.
How about the damage on that 88 truck of Matt Crafton?
We talked about how tough it is coming from the back. That's what Rhodes was attempting to do, and Matt's done a great job. He's up to the 14th spot, but just check out, this is Matt here in the bright yellow truck. He's going to run down to the turn, and look, he has to lock up his brakes because the traffic ahead of him did so as well, and the truck behind him is that 05 of John West-Halley, a black truck, runs into Crafton. And what I'm more concerned about, Phil, look at the damage on the 88, but that was a lot of tire smoke on those front tires. Crafton could have flat spotted one of those Goodyear tires.
Yeah, that would be the only damage. I don't think that damage from the rear is going to affect anything at all, but he's made some great progress. You mentioned up to the 14th spot, right behind the 29 of Reddick.
I talked to Crafton this morning, and he said, y'all better put me on TV because I'm going to be aggressive. I'm in the chase. I'm not like these kids that are nervous and worried about if they're going to be a part of the playoffs. I'm in, and I'm going to be going for it, evidenced by the fact he's up inside the top 15 already.
That's fun, too, isn't it? When you know you've got that wiggle room because you do have the 2 races. Your season is not on the line today, and you can just go all out.
Well, you can breathe. You can breathe, and you have been able to since you got that win. But we hear a lot of quiet trucks going down the backstretch in other parts of this racetrack because every single one of these guys is trying to save fuel.
And the reason why you do that is just to open up your playbook. The more gas you've got, the more options you have. And so they're doing their best to save all the fuel they can under caution so that they've got a longer range.
One of our youngest drivers in the field, teenager Kaz Grala, just 17 years old. Let's find out what's happening with that 2014 with Caitlin.
Well, Vince, we've been talking about some drivers who could steal a win from a Truck Series regular. It certainly could be him. He's got a lot of experience on road courses, 6 road course starts in the K&N Series. And I spoke with his crew chief, Jeff Stankiewicz. He said, I think that experience is really going to give him a leg up on the competition, and it seems to be that way. He's been running in the top 5 all day. His team has said he's been very quiet on the radio, but he's been happy all weekend long with the truck.
Hey, last ran at Bristol, ran 11th there, had a season best 8th place finish at Gateway as he's making his 6th start of the season here today. Let's see who the takers are on this first caution.
Grala's one of them.
There's Cindric in the 2 and Grala in the 24 as you see them entering and pitting backwards as to what you're normally accustomed to as you watch an oval race. A little bit of an adjustment for the crew members, and many of them just fuel only. Some will take tires. Grala.
I don't think that can left the pit, though, did it, Phil? He stalled the engine, though.
Yeah, the can never left the pit, but he stalled the engine.
Now he gets it going.
Holds up the 49 of DJ Kennington.
It looked like maybe once he got it going, he might have overshot the pit road speed. That thing really pulled away from the trucks behind him.
Watching the team work on that 81 of Ryan Truex.
You know, we talked about the crew chief Jeff Stankiewicz saying Kaz's experience as a 17-year-old. That's kind of, I don't understand exactly how much you could have at that point in time, but that was a mistake on pit road. That is a lack of experience there that might bite that team.
Well, he has a lot of road racing experience, but not that much experience making live pit stops.
So watch as the team sends him, or does he go before? No, they were sending him. Just didn't have the fuel can out in time.
Watch that yellow line there. If that can went across that yellow line, it would result in a penalty, and it sure didn't.
And it could be a case, too, Phil. Once Kaz went, they might have yelled stop because the fuel can was still connected, and that might have been why that engine stalled. It might not have been on Kaz necessarily.
It caused a traffic jam on pit road, but no worse for the wear, it seems, at this point. It's already heating up in Canada. Back at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. 10 laps in the books, 10 of 64 here on this course. Just under 2.5 miles. And it has been interesting already after this first round of pit stops, and we've seen a couple of near misses and some mistakes. A couple of penalties have been issued, including the 8 truck of John Hunter Nemechek. The fuel man had his legs over the wall too soon. The 98 truck of Rico Abreu had a fuel can violation as well.
A scary situation there with the 98 of Rico.
Yeah, let's take a look at this in the pit box and keep an eye on the left-hand side of the screen as it's circled there, and watch not only the gas man, but also one of the crew members. The can will hit him right in the back. Oh.
And you see the can fall off the truck. in the next pit stall. Caitlin?
Well, the fueler's name is Paul Halleck, and he seems to be okay. He's getting some water now from his crew. I just spoke with his crew. They said he seems to be doing okay. There's also some medical officials here doing some tests with him to see how he's doing. They haven't yet determined if he's going to be able to complete the race and complete his race duties, but certainly a story we will continue to follow as it progresses. Hermie?
Well, Caitlin, we saw some trucks on pit road. One truck we did not see was the 00 of Cole Custer. Now, they have been saving fuel from the time they cranked the truck and cut it back off on the grid prior to the race starting. And once Cole got up to about 5 or 6 truck length lead, they reminded him every lap, save fuel, save fuel. They had originally planned to be on pit road around lap 12. We'll see how this caution changes that strategy.
Thank you, Hermie. 22 of the 32 trucks have pitted. The top 10 have all stayed out, have yet to hit pit road. The pace truck will make its way to pit road, and we'll get ready to go racing. That's Cole Custer on the left-hand side, and Daniel Hemrick in that blue 19. Custer is the control vehicle, and we are back green in Canada as the flag waves. Custer with a great jump into turn 1, and Hemrick is there. William Byron in third, took a peek, falls into line.
Canadian Cameron Haley's up to the 4th spot. Timothy Peters started back in 12th. Carrying our camera, you can see the red truck there in the middle of the screen. He's all the way up to the top 5.
How about Spencer Gallagher takes over that 4th spot? That 23 truck passes that 13 of Haley.
Boy, Gallagher has some horses today. He looks strong as they dive down into turn 4. That's a great look at that elevation change of this racetrack all over the track.
It really is up and down again, the blind corners, fast corners, slow corners. The slowest one right there, turn number 5.
I talked to William Byron's father, Bill, in the garage area this morning. He said he just watched his son download all night last night, thinking about every corner on this racetrack. Not a whole lot of road course experience for William Byron, but he's up in the 3rd spot, doing a great job. He studied all night, understanding how he could run this track better.
How about the Brad Keselowski teammates getting together now? Both of them came to pit road trying to chase their way to the front.
On board with Tyler Reddick. That's the 2 of Austin Cindric, his teammate behind him.
All clear, bud, all clear.
That's a good sound when you're heading toward that tricky 10th turn. You get the all clear. Now you can focus and try to get a strong run off.
Go get him.
They're running 15th and 16th. As mentioned, after coming to pit road, now up a couple of spots.
What that pit stop allowed all these guys to do is to make sure they got in their window that they could make this on one more pit stop. A lot of the guys think you could actually make this whole race on one pit stop. Again, as you mentioned, the top 10 stayed out. Some of those guys may be thinking about making this a one-stop race.
Mixing that strategy up like we talked about earlier, doing what the favorites don't do. And I know, or we believe, that Custer's going to come to pit road soon, make it a 2-stop race. Be interesting to see if somebody rolls the dice and tries to do it on one.
Look at that 21. That's Johnny Sauter, a winner earlier this year. In fact, won the first race of the season. John Hunter Nemechek trails him in that 8 truck. He won the 2nd race of the season. Those 2 guys locked themselves into the chase right out of the gate, but they'd love nothing better than to put another one in the win column here today.
Right behind them's Ryan Truex. He's hunting a spot. You can see John Hunter on the outside going into the turn.
John Hunter had a fast truck. He was 2nd quickest on our final practice, but didn't get the qualifying lap that he had hoped. Did not make our 2nd round of 12.
Both Nemechek and Truex getting inside of Sauter, but Sauter looks like he's fought off Truex, but Nemechek gets the spot easily.
There you see that crossover move. Ryan Blaney did it to win the race a couple of years ago, and that was a great example of what can happen in turn 10. Watch for that as this race rolls on. Truex to the inside of Sauter. Couldn't complete the pass, but that was a strong move.
You see the scoreboard at the top of the screen in regards to where the drivers are running. If the drivers are shadowed in yellow, then that means they would be in the chase on points as it currently stands. If they're shadowed in green, it means they've already won race or races this season and would be in the chase on the strength of their victory.
Yeah, with the exception of Custer, who's in yellow because he's leading the race. We're assuming if the race ended now, he would be our winner.
There you go.
This is a great battle.
Bell, all previous winners.
Looks like Truex Truex has got a strong truck today, and he's heating Johnny Sauter up. That's the battle for 17th, and that explains the Truck Series. These guys battle that hard, whether they're running the top 5 or out in the back of the top 20. That's what the goal is. These races are short, and you got to go in a hurry.
I was talking to Johnny Sauter yesterday, and I said, what do you think? He said, I'm having a great time here. My strategy is the same as it's been every time I've ever been here. Stay on the racetrack.
Sauter coming around on the straightaway, crossing the start-finish line. We're 15 laps into it. As you see the Brad Keselowski trucks again, the 29 of Reddick and the 2 of Cindric. That's Brett Moffitt right behind them in the 11 truck, last week's winner at Michigan, as you ride on board with Reddick.
Run your bumper.
Yeah, I don't think Reddick wanted his teammate to get by him there.
Teaking to the inside. Looks like he's got the line. They exit that corner. And that's that fast 8 truck of John Hunter Nemechek poking his nose in there as well. He could be a real story today.
Going to the Chevrolet bridge here as they approach turn number 5. Really good trucks right there. Reddick, the 29, the 11 of Moffitt, and the 8 of Nemechek. And look at the distance already that Cindric was able to gain on exit on number 5.
Gary Clute, that's a Canadian driving for Kyle Busch Motorsports. A lot of experience on this racetrack. He's up into the 7th spot. We talked about the road racers knowing how to preserve their tires and making sure their trucks are good in the longer run. Clute just keeps getting faster and faster.
And not only does he have experience at this racetrack, he ran the Pinty's race earlier today right here.
50 miles outside of Toronto, Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Cole Custer, the leader. Every weeknight, NASCAR Race Hub brings you the best coverage, biggest names, and the most access in the world of racing. Catch NASCAR Race Hub at its new time, 6 p.m. Eastern, weeknights on FS1. Michael, you're going to be there Tuesday night, is that right?
Yeah, I love the Hub, and I'm going to go down there and check out Adam and Danielle.
I think we're going to have the Dingers going to be on there tomorrow night to talk about what goes on tonight at Darlington.
And they'll probably be talking a little bit about this performance as well. Junior Motorsports driver Cole Custer started from the pole and has led them all so far.
Got to give a shout out to Dale Jr. Won the Xfinity race yesterday down in Darlington. Has dominated this weekend up in Canada, leading the race right now with Cole Custer. Good for that team and that organization.
That's a look at the 24 of Kaz Grala from GMS Racing while we were away in commercial. Had an issue, got off track, was running 10th at the time. Fortunately, not significant damage. He was able, as you saw just a moment ago, to get the truck going again and get back on track. Did not have to come to pit lane to fix damage.
Thank goodness for those tire barriers. That's what allowed him to really stay on the racetrack. If that would have been a cement wall or even a safer barrier, it would have destroyed the back end of that 24 truck.
And we saw the same thing yesterday with Christopher Bell qualifying. He spun off the racetrack up in turn 5, collected those tire barriers, but the team worked hard last night. Jerry Baxter and the boys got him tuned up, and he's running well today, currently in the 11th spot, so good recovery by Bell.
Some teams taking advantage of some strategy calls, making pit stops. The 9 of William Byron, a 5-time winner this season, pitted from 3rd place, Hermie.
Done a really good job so far, giving good feedback. You can see it's going to be a 4-tire change. One thing interesting today, obviously, pit crews pitting the truck on the passenger side, but also today, crew chief Rudy Fugel is one of the spotters. He's in the grandstands just high above turn 1, the 9 truck down and away.
You know, one thing you have to remember, too, is a lot of these pit crews or teams rely on guys that do the cup cars as well. Oh, there's Rudy right there. He's the highest guy up there right now on the top row. But all those guys in Darlington weren't able to be here today, so a lot of them have some substitute guys. Rudy's one of those guys. He said, I'm pretty confident in our guys, but we don't have the same group that we normally have.
And Rudy Fugel was the crew chief for the winner last year, and that, of course, was Eric Jones, who went on to win the championship. So Rudy knows how to play it out here at Mosport. As you ride on board with the leader, Cole Custer has been the only one that's been out front today. You know, it's interesting. Custer had led just 21 laps coming into this race here today. 21 laps all season. Go back to last year at this point, he'd led almost 200, 199. And you look at those numbers, and you think, boy, they just haven't been out front the way they want, but they have been bad fast all weekend. No surprise, he's been dominating this race today.
And it's not that he has a road racing background. He comes from an open wheel background. He's still young, very young, but he was in the K&N series, had a little bit of road racing experience in that series, but has been fast every time we've been here. But guys, I've been really impressed with that 23 truck of Spencer Gallagher. He has hung right in here with our second place driver right now, Daniel Hemrick.
And the last time by, Phil, he was a half second faster than Hemrick. So not only is he hanging, he's putting a little bit of pressure on our second place truck. And another shout out to Cameron Haley. He's up in the top 5 again. Didn't have a very fast truck in practice yesterday, but talked to him, and he was confident about how he could just race through the field, get better all day long. On board with him here down the Mario Andretti straightaway. Listen to this thing zing down the back.
Upwards of 170 miles an hour. Till they start braking there for turn 8.
Yeah, and you know what they're doing, Phil? They're driving into it blind. They can't see where they have to turn. Shows you the immense talent of these young racers.
A couple more. We'll get you fixed up here.
He wants an adjustment, it sounds like. That's the spotter saying, run me a couple more. We'll pit and make that adjustment for you.
Gallagher chasing the 19 of Hemrick for second.
Gallagher was the fastest truck on the racetrack that last lap, a couple tenths faster than our leader, Cole Custer.
And Phil, if you're Marcus Richmond, Custer's experienced crew chief, do you tell that young man, run me about 80-85%? We've got plenty of pace. We need to take care of our truck. We don't need a mistake. We've got a lead. Let's back it down a little bit. But, you know, Spencer Gallagher has a different plan. I want to come put some heat on you.
And he's another guy. He's chase eligible in that 23 truck. If he could go to victory lane here, he locks himself in the chase.
The top 5, all of them have stayed out. None of them have pitted yet. Custer continues to lead. The 00 of Cole Custer for Junior Motorsports. He's led them all so far here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. He's led more laps today than he had all season long coming into this race, Hermie. They got to be pretty pleased with the way that 00 is rolling.
Well, they got a fast truck, been saving a little bit of fuel, about 4 minutes short of the caution clock. What's your strategy?
The Haas Automation Chevrolet has been really good. Cole is doing an awesome job. Right now we're having a flawless day. We just got to keep it up, have a good pit stop. Caution clocks will come out here in a little bit. Might have some trucks hit pit road before it. We have to see what we're going to do here.
He's not going to tell us what his strategy is, but we do know he's got a fast truck, Caitlin.
Well, Hermie, another person with a fast truck is Daniel Hemrick. His crew chief, Chad Kendrick, with me now. Chad, we've already seen some issues on pit road here in Canada. How challenging is this place from your perspective as a crew chief to call this race?
Yeah, this is a tough pit road. The whole thing's sloped. We're doing stops on the opposite side of the truck. A lot of these guys aren't used to that. These guys have practiced well. We're going to do fine with that. It looks like the 00's committed himself to a one-stop race, which we have too. So we'll be stopping here between lap 31 and 33, and hopefully we can make an adjustment on this thing, pick up about a tenth and a half, 2 tenths, and then we can run with that guy and give him a run for his money, and that's the plan right now. Just a little too free.
Thanks for your time. Best of luck to you. Vince?
You know, it's interesting. We heard from those two crew chiefs, Marcus Richmond and then Chad Kendrick there at the end. Those two guys came into the sport together. They are the best of friends, and they were doing some trash talking down in the garage beforehand. Chad Kendrick said, I'm going to do the opposite of what Marcus Richmond does, but we just saw right there, it looks like they're both on the same strategy, a one-stop strategy.
Yeah, they flip-flopped. Chad told me they were going to do the opposite, and their teammate Austin Cindric was going to do the same, but they flip-flopped that. I was talking to Chad Kendrick in the garage here this morning, and Marcus ran up. He said, I love this guy. We broke in together, but I want to beat his brains out here today.
That means that when the caution clock comes on here in just a little over 2 minutes, those trucks won't come to pit road.
I think they stay out.
They'll stay out and then run until they're in their window and get some fresh tires and go to the end. Interesting.
You heard them discussing it. Chad Kendrick mentioned about lap 32. For their pit stop, the 51 of Gary Clute, the Canadian, comes in, running for Kyle Busch Motorsports this weekend. Hermie?
The 51 has been tight, especially on the right-handers. He hits his pit stall. Very first start in this series. It's going to be 4 tires and an air pressure adjustment for the 51. 17 of Timothy Peters also coming down pit road. What a heartbreaking second-place finish, if there is one, last weekend for these guys at Michigan. His truck has also been tight. He's been tight to the right and to the left. Also 4 tires for Timothy Peters.
Yeah, you hate to think of second place as heartbreaking, but it certainly was for Peters last week as he was right there, had victory in sight, had such a dominating day throughout the course of the race last week at Michigan. But his teammate, Brett Moffitt, got a tremendous run on the last lap, got around the outside of both Peters and William Byron, and what a terrific win it was for Brett Moffitt last week.
What a great day for Red Horse, too, with a 1-2 finish. Timothy Peters desperately would love to get victory lane here. Again, he's in a situation the same as Daniel Hemrick. He's okay if somebody wins that's already won this year, or a Kaz Gralla would win, or an Austin Cindric would win, as we watch Spencer Gallagher come to pit road, Caitlin.
And Spencer Gallagher had a top 10 last time he was here. He told his team he's just a little bit tight in those left-handers. They're going to fuel this truck up. It looks like it's going to be a 4-tire stop for the 23 truck.
Now, a lot of these teams wanted to get that pit stop in before the caution clock, and you see it's going to expire or set to expire in about 20 seconds.
I like the strategy of staying out. Let's just restart up front. When we come to pit road, we won't have to deal with all the traffic that these racers are going to be in back in the back. So I think great minds think alike. We talk about Chad Kendrick. We talk about Marcus Richmond. I think it's no coincidence that they arrived at the same point, because that's a smart strategy.
And remember when Ryan Blaney won here a couple years ago with that last corner pass? Chad Kendrick was his crew chief. They stopped one time.
Problem for the 07 Cody Ware. Heavy damage. I don't know what he hit,
but he brought some of it with him.
Yeah. It's somebody's rear bumper, I would guess.
Can't tell if that's what that was sticking out of the front end of that Chevrolet or not.
The 07 team, I talked to him down in the garage area, brought a good truck here, had a lot of high hopes about a solid finish, but that'll certainly set you back when you got some pieces and parts of another guy's truck in your...
They'll have time under this caution to come back in, work on it, maybe put some bearer bond over the front of that, that front hole there where he punctured something.
So the caution clock has expired, and we are under caution for the second time today. The first time via the caution clock. Caution clock coming into effect for the 11th time this season.
I think the caution clock is a great addition to the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. It gives these young drivers, we talk about the teenagers running up front, gives them a chance to run a while and try to figure out what to tell their crew chief, an adjustment they might need. We've seen some amazing finishes and some great racing in the Truck Series, and the caution clock has helped that.
Just another element that impacts the strategy at a road course race as well.
Yeah, and the crew chiefs say not necessarily at a road course, but at all the races, it really impacts how they strategize a race. And see Rico Abreu. Rico's doing a nice job staying out here on the racetrack, and has moved up into the 11th spot, just outside the top 10. But I think this is going to be odd, because normally we see a caution, pit road opens, they all come to pit road. I think we're going to see a lot of people not come to pit road, Michael.
And for differing strategies. Some of them have already been there, and some of them are going to wait until they throw the green, run a few laps, and get into their fuel window to go to the finish. Another shout out to DJ Kennington. He raced in the Pinty's race earlier today. He's in the 12th spot in that 49 truck. So another Canadian doing a nice job.
Had a top 10 in the Pinty's race earlier. Finished 8th.
3 drivers doing the double duty today with the race that took place just before this one. Kaz Gralla, DJ Kennington, and Gary Kloot. Busy day for those 3.
Yeah, sure has been. We saw Gary Kloot come to pit road before the caution clock expired. William, right now, Kaz Gralla is in the 13th spot. We saw him spin earlier, but again, because this racetrack is so big, he was didn't have the misfortune of losing a lap.
Well, the only 2 that have yet to pit are the 2 running 1-2. Cole Custer in the 00. He's led every lap so far, Hermie.
Yeah, these guys have been on point with their execution so far today. We heard Marcus Richmond in his interview somewhat non-committal about the strategy of his race team, but it looks like right now they are not coming down pit road under this caution. They need to get another handful of laps in to get him solidly in that window, and as you guys pointed out, give him a little bit of cushion for a green-white checker situation, overtime situation, and also have a little bit more good life left in his tires when he goes out.
Got to be careful cutting that engine off. Remember what happened to Marcus Ambrose out at Sonoma a few years ago? He shut his off under caution and stalled. He lost his track position and ultimately lost the race.
Yeah.
So there's so many things that go into winning one of these things.
Don't shut it off going uphill, right?
We can see it look like
Johnny Sauter.
By the way, Jordan Anderson getting the free pass on this second caution of the race. Cole Custer continues to lead. Veterans and the young guns doing battle here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. It's 64-lap race. We are 27 laps into it. Cole Custer has led them all, and we're under caution because of the expiration of the caution clock, but bad news for the 00 of Tyler Young.
Needs help.
Or the 02 of Tyler Young, I should say.
He was trying to climb that hill, and I think his engine stalled, and now he can't get going again. He was running outside the top 20.
He last pitted on lap number 13. So don't know if it was a situation, Michael, like you were talking about, trying to save fuel and maybe couldn't get it refired and then all of a sudden started uphill. Said, oh, this is not going to work well.
Get a push there and try to get back in the action. There's so many fun stories. I talked about Kennington running up in the 12th position in that 49 truck. He's since pitted, but Rico Abreu struggled a bit in practice. He's made his way inside the top 10. Gary Clute, the Canadian again, had a strong run going. He's pitted. Be interesting to see how he finishes up.
Check in on the 88 of Matt Crafton. Got some pretty significant damage at the back end of that truck, but doesn't seem to be slowing him down. Any Caitlin running third?
It hasn't at all, Vince. And now this team has not gone to victory lane since Dover several months back. But as crew chief Junior Joyner told me earlier today, he still feels like this team has got a lot of momentum. But they want to get a win in these last two races of the regular season. But they were one of the teams who elected to pit early in the race on lap 9. They took left side tires only. And Junior just told me they've been making up a ton of ground in clean air. And he's now moved up into the top 5 and holding down that third spot. Vince?
Also, how much of a difference are the tires? You heard Caitlin mention that Crafton came in and got some. The two guys he's chasing, Hemrick and Custer, they've yet to come, so they're still on the tires they started with.
Most of the guys said there's a difference between fresh tires and 10-lap tires, but not necessarily 10-lap tires and 25-lap tires. So there's a little bit of speed early on tires, but once you put some laps on them, I don't think there's much difference.
Matt Crafton got a big win at Dover, holding off Daniel Suarez there.
And then he went back-to-back, right?
Went to Charlotte the next week and repeated. And you know what's been so impressive about this team is they overcame so much adversity at the beginning of the year. They had a fire at their shop, threw them off their game. But that's victory celebration right there, Phil. That is a game changer for Matt Crafton. He came here to Canada, loose, relaxed, gunsling, and he said, I don't have anything to lose. I'm going to go out and put it on the line. He started in the rear because of a transmission issue yesterday and has raced all the way into the top 3. And he is quite a road racer, a solid racer anywhere we go, but he really likes the road course.
And this is the first time he's been able to do that here because he's been chasing points, the old point system the last 2 years here, and he wasn't able to, last 3 years here, and he wasn't able to do that.
Let's check in with Hermie on the 4 of Christopher Bell. Hermie?
Well, Vince, has been a pretty good comeback day so far for Christopher Bell. He qualified 16th, but had to go to the rear for unapproved adjustments or really repairs that he suffered from a crash during qualifying yesterday. He was very, very disappointed after watch right here. Vince just trying to get too much. Second time out on the racetrack. Turn 5 just gets in too hot. Makes contact with the back of his truck. They stay after the garage closed to get this truck repaired, get it back on the racetrack, and so far he's back up to the top 10.
Hermie had a near miss on the first lap. He got into the back of the truck ahead of him. You don't see any damage to the nose of that Toyota, so certainly been an eventful couple of days for that young man.
The 00 of Cole Custer leads them back to green. Too wide down into turn 1.
That's Timothy Peters' view from his front bumper cam in his Toyota.
He was on pit road at lap 24. Got some trucks ahead of him that haven't been to pit road yet. Others that have been there but didn't get tires. So it's a big mix-up right now. It'll be interesting to see how these guys sort through traffic.
Crafton getting onto the inside. Everybody trying to get a spot or two here while they're all bunched up. Custer leads Hemrick.
Still there.
Austin Cindric positioned in third, followed by Christopher Bell and Matt Crafton.
Little strategy. The 29 of Tyler Reddick dove on pit road as we were getting ready to restart. Topped it off with fuel a little bit, so he may be in a situation where he may try to stretch it all away from here.
That is a stretch, huh, Phil?
It's only 35 laps, and they know they can go 32. We know we'll at least have another caution or a caution clock, so he'll have some time to save some fuel.
And this guy's fighting for his playoff life. He needs to get to victory lane, and how cool would it be for the Canadian to do it right here?
It's Cameron Haley trying to get up in there for position, currently running 11th in that 13 truck, but it's been all Cole Custer. Continues to be chased by Daniel Hemrick. Custer's led them all, and Hemrick, for most of them, has been right there with a good look at the back bumper.
And just think about Hemrick. He's racing to make the playoffs, as is Cole Custer. But how frustrating, Phil, for a guy that is just that close to catching the fastest guy, the dominant truck all weekend long, and can't quite get there. Because you got to figure that the 00 truck has got to be saving a little bit of something, because we've seen the speed out of him. But Hemrick certainly wants everything he can get out of that truck.
Custer in a situation where if he wins, he's in the chase, and he's got to win, because you're not going to point your way in at this point if you're Cole Custer, as we look at those chase standings up above.
Both these guys, I think, within about 5 laps of coming to pit road, more than likely for their only pit stop.
Custer and Hemrick on that one pit stop strategy. They're running 1 and 2. Everyone else has already come and will have to come at least again. So everyone else is committed to the 2-stop strategy, we believe, and Custer and Hemrick obviously trying on the 1-stop strategy. The last 2 winners.
How about 00 coming right now
on 1 stop, and here's Cole Custer for the first time today on pit road.
No mistakes. He's been perfect on the racetrack. Hit this pit box, Hermie, and have a great stop for these teams.
They said 49.50 first gear. That's pit road speed for Cole Custer. It's going to be 4 tires, Sunoco fuel. He has said the truck's a little bit tight in the center, a little bit free on forward drive, but looks like any adjustments they're doing will be with air pressure. A little bit slow on the right rear. They finished topping off with fuel. He's down and away.
These trucks have a really tall first gear, really high first gear, so the drivers are challenged to get it off pit road. Phil, that thing was right on the yellow line. You can't pit over that line on the outside where his left front tire was, but these boxes are really narrow. You need to get over to the left as far as you can so the team has plenty of room to operate, but that was close.
I think he executed that pit stop perfectly, although he almost stalled, as you mentioned, because they haven't a high enough first gear that they're able to use that in turn 5 if they want to.
So for the first time today, a truck other than the 00 is out front. It's the 19 of Daniel Hemrick. Remember, Hemrick is going to have to come to pit road very soon as well. Will he do it this lap? Yes. He's also followed by his teammate, the 2 of Austin Cindric.
And that's going to give the lead to Matt Crafton in the 88 truck.
From back to the front with damage, Caitlin.
Well, it's been a great day for Daniel Hemrick in that 19 truck. He told his team that it just lacks a little bit of rear grip, so they're going to make a track bar adjustment to try and fix that for Daniel. Also, 4 tires and fuel for the 19 truck. Hermie.
The 2 was Austin Cindric, and he has been solid this entire weekend. It's going to be 4 tires and fuel. He has not called for any adjustments to the truck, and he's been to victory lane here before in another series. So he knows how to get the job done, but a little bit more speed is needed for the 2 to run with that 00.
It's been an impressive weekend for Austin Cindric, a teenager making just his 2nd start this season in the Truck Series. Ran at Bristol, had a really good run going there till they had some trouble. Ended up 18th, not reflective of the quality of weekend that they had. And there's Matt Crafton, who started at the rear because of a transmission change, and he now is your leader 32 laps in, halfway at Canada.
How about the guy running second? Christopher Bell also started at the back of the pack.
It's been fast and furious halfway there at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Used to be called Mosport. Now officially it's the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. 64 laps for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. We're just past halfway. Cole Custer dominated the early stages of the race. Right now, Matt Crafton is your leader as we ride on board with Tyler Reddick out of the Brad Keselowski Racing Stable.
Tyler's in that must-win situation here. He ducked in there right at the end of that caution flag. Got a little bit of fuel.
I just love that, Phil. We got to mix it up. Let's do some differing strategies, try to get a leg up on the competition. And
that puts him ahead of the guys that waited till we got going green and pitted under green. He didn't lose as much time because the field wasn't up to speed yet.
23:30. You're about 10 seconds ahead of the guy.
And they're telling him where he's ahead of the guys that pitted that are only going to make that are not going to make another stop. The risk is that he's going to run out of gas. That's outside of our window that we think that they can make it, but they're willing to take that chance to try to get to victory lane.
They got to throw the dice. They absolutely have to throw the dice here. Maybe doesn't have the speed necessarily to run with a 00 or the 19 of Hemrick, maybe even the 2 of Cindric, but they have to make something happen.
Somebody that's made something happen too is Ryan Truex. He's in the 3rd spot. One of his few starts. He's taken advantage of that thing. You can see him right behind Christopher Bell, holding off some fast charging trucks behind him.
Varying strategies, so we'll see some different trucks starting to hit pit road soon, and we expect Matt Crafton to dive onto pit road as well. He last pitted on lap 9. Here he comes. He's coming. We'll see Christopher Bell, who's running 2nd, come to pit road as well. Caitlin is there on the 88.
It's been a strong day for Matt Crafton, starting at the rear, working into the top 5. As crew chief Junior Joyner telling me he had no pressure coming into this race. They're taking 4 tires and fuel for Matt Crafton. Hermie.
The 4th truck of Christopher Bell is tight on the racetrack. They're going to take 4 tires, Sunoco fuel, make adjustments with air pressure, gave him a water bottle from the passenger side, finished the driver's side around to the right side, topping off with fuel. 4th truck down and away right behind the 88.
Now, so the top 3 trucks pitted there with Matt Crafton, Christopher Bell, and also the truck that was running 3rd at the time, Ryan Truex. He came to pit road as well. You see him pulling off behind Bell in that 4 machine.
Not only are there differing strategies on the track, they
on pit road as well.
They change tires different. Some of them get the left front, some of them get the right front. I like getting the lefts first because you can get the rights with the truck jacked up, maybe get a little bit more fuel in it. And we know that this is going to come down to a nail biter, whether some of these guys have enough gas or not to make it to the victory, to the checker flag.
And with the cycle of pit stops, that leaves the 23 of Spencer Gallagher in front. Gallagher, another one of those drivers that needs to win to get in.
Guys, I think now that everyone pits now is going to be really comfortable on fuel. The question is Reddick, who stopped all the way back on lap number 29, and then we had the 00 of Custer stopped on 31, and then Cindric and Hemrick both on 32.
And you talked about Tyler Reddick. He's already up inside the top 10, just clipping guys off as they head to pit road. So this team has done a nice job of putting themselves in position to make something happen. We heard a spotter tell him he had 10 seconds over the others that were behind him that were going to be coming.
It's a great look for Tyler Reddick now. Let's go inside the cockpit and watch how he's working the pedals, the clutch, the brake, the gas. So you see the 29 go through turn 1 and down turn 2.
Watch him bleep the gas here. Just give it a little bit of gas.
Wide open. Now hard onto the gas. Little downshift there in the turn for turn number 3 and down to 2nd gear.
You know, these things have close to 700 horsepower under the hood, man. You've got to be careful how you get on that gas. They're trying to keep those Goodyear tires hooked up, and they've got to be so much finesse with that gas pedal.
Watch this down in turn number 5 now. Seems like he has to wait forever to get back in the throttle. And now hard on the gas from 40 miles an hour up to 170 miles an hour.
Reached that high speed on the Mario Andretti straight, named after, of course, the legendary racer back in the old IndyCar USAC days here in the 60s. Was doing such a high rate of speed along this stretch of road. They named it after him. That's flying.
And that 29 truck that has that gap over Cole Custer, he ran about 82 seconds flat, a minute 22 flat. Custer ran a minute 21 flat, so he's cutting into that advantage. Hermie?
Cameron Haley wants more forward drive off the corner. They finished the driver's side, now ran to the right side. 4 tires, fuel, air pressure adjustments for the 13 of Cameron Haley.
So the pit sequence leaves John Hunter Nemechek in front. It has been close. They've been beaten and banging all day long, and we're far from finish in Canada. You know, it's great to be here in Canada, and a lot of good stuff going on in my hometown. The U.S. Nationals out at what we used to call, when I was selling snow cones in the grandstand, we just called it Raceway Park.
Yeah, that's the big one, though.
It is the big go, the U.S. Nationals, and qualifying will be on after our race here today on FS1.
Man, a mighty wild ride for my buddy Ron Capps in that Napa car. Glad he's okay. That was crazy.
A little bit crazy here today as well, as we've seen the pit stop cycle continue to roll, and John Hunter Nemechek now out front. As you see, he's led 4 laps here today. He's followed by Tyler Reddick, Spencer Gallagher, Timothy Peters, Kaz Grala, all in the top 5. John Hunter Nemechek, one of those already going to be in the chase, as you see Reddick in that 29 and the 23 of Gallagher.
Look up top left of your screen, guys. Our caution clock is winding down inside of 3 minutes now.
And I don't think these two, Phil, plan on coming back to pit road, but they've got a gap, a big gap over our dominant truck, Cole Custer. We see John Hunter Nemechek leading, but this 23 truck of Spencer Gallagher, man, he's strong right now.
He wants the lead right now, too.
He pitted on lap 38. He's all set to go.
That's the battle for second. Gallagher chasing Reddick.
Clear by 1.
And that'll eventually be the battle for the lead, because surely Nemechek is coming to pit road. So there it is. Is that going to be the pass?
Right. Clear.
Couldn't make it stick down in 5, and Gallagher might end up giving up that spot to Timothy Peters, who's gotten onto the inside.
We talk about how much momentum you have to have when you exit turn number 5. Spencer Gallagher didn't have it, and it may cost him this spot here.
Yeah, if you're going to go for the pass and you don't make it, it's going to probably cost you a position.
Look how strong that truck is on the outside. He was able to drive around Peters down the back straightaway. No wonder he's so fast. That thing hauled down the back. It could be a little bit of power. It could be a little bit of aerodynamics, too.
Guys, John Hunter last pitted on lap number 25. That would mean he would have to run 39 laps. We know we're going to have some caution laps. I don't think there's any way he can make it, is there?
The caution clock will expire in about 90 seconds, and we will have a yellow.
What about Kaz Grala after that spin? He's fought his way up inside the top 5. Phil, he pitted on 33. We think he can make it. This caution clock, when it goes off here in a bit, these guys will stay on the track, and we'll bunch them up. I don't care what kind of tires you got on yourself, you got to go.
I think everybody that pitted around halfway, which is lap 32, has a great chance of making it. They can save a little fuel during the caution flags, and that really includes everybody. Reddick is a little bit outside that, but I think the Fords get really good mileage. He pitted on 29. Nemechek's the one guy I'm not too sure about.
Yeah, Brad Keselowski Racing, well known for that outstanding fuel mileage in their trucks. They've had fuel mileage and speed in their favor this weekend. Those 3 BKR machines have been fast this weekend.
Timothy Peters just lost a couple positions to Johnny Sauter in that 21 on the left, and Matt Kraft in that yellow truck on the right.
And look at Crafton racing hard on the inside. He's got that back bumper crunched in, but it's not slowing him down any.
Some people may say that might even help, let a little bit of air out from under that truck.
Clear all around.
Crafton and Sauter both racing for the enjoyment of it today. They're not feeling the nerves that some of the others are feeling, because they are already in the chase with wins this season. Crafton's won a couple of times. Sauter won the season opener at Daytona.
10 seconds to the caution clock expiring.
You know, Vince, when you race for points, the racing itself is frustrating. It makes you nervous. It's nerve-wracking. But when it's over and you got more than everybody else, it's the happiest you've ever been in your whole life.
As you look at that 29 of Reddick, and Gallagher is all over him. And the yellow waves as the caution clock expires. Full course yellow.
Well, this is going to make for an intense restart, huh?
And this is the last time we'll see the caution clock this race. Doesn't mean we can't have any more cautions, but the caution clock would not run out in time before 10 laps to go in this race.
And just think what we talked about at the top, Vince. Strategy, mixing it up, doing something different. That's exactly what John Hunter Nemechek, Reddick, Gallagher, and Grala have done. They're all ahead of the dominant truck of Cole Custer because they changed up the strategy.
Speaking of strategy, what is the strategy for our leader, the 8 of John Hunter Nemechek? Caitlin? We'll check back in with Caitlin here in a moment.
Well, John Hunter
There we
Nemechek
go.
just talking with his crew chief, Jerry Kennan. He's actually electing to not come down pit road. He just told me originally the plan was to do so. But I spoke with John Hunter before this race. He said, we really want to close out this regular season with another win and with some momentum. Now, they are already locked into the chase from that win they got back in Atlanta. Vince,
you remember, we've seen on the big tracks how much gas these drivers are able to save under caution. They can coast so far. They've got it down to a science. If you just gas that truck up enough to make it to the top of the hill on this road course, you can go a long way down. So we used to say a lap under caution was equal to 2 under green. Well, they've stretched that out way past that now. But how can he go 39 laps? I know we're going to have these caution laps, but that is a long way outside the window.
Still going to be a lot of green flag laps that he's not going to be able to save that much fuel, because remember, he had about a 17-second lead here when the caution came out. He's going to have guys all around him and now going to be racing them hard that know they have enough fuel to get to the end.
Well, Tyler Reddick sitting in that second spot. Does he have enough to get to the end? Let's take a look at our Ford facts and some of the others that have piloted a Ford to victory in the NASCAR circles or on the road course as it.
Joe Ruttman was a great road racer. 3 wins there for Ford early on in the history of this series, and Biffle got him a couple, and Mike Bliss, Topeka, Kansas, back in 1999.
Check in with Hermie Sadler.
Vince, you guys mentioned back in turn 5 several laps ago, Timothy Peters lost a couple of positions. Well, the reason is this truck has lost third gear. He no longer has third gear in that truck. He's still messing with it, as you can see, the shifter. But they are having a discussion on the radio whether or not to come back to the garage or just try to stay on the racetrack and ride it out. But no third gear for the 17.
That's tough. You've spent so much time in third gear here, but if you come to the garage, you're going to lose. You can lose a half a dozen laps. You know, you're going to finish maybe outside the top 20, top 25. You may be able to stay on the racetrack and not lose near as much time.
And, you know, we've talked about transmission issues. Matt Crafton had one yesterday in qualifying. And remember, a year ago, problems for Alex Tagliani late in the race.
Last lap, wasn't it?
Yeah, and that caused him a chance from winning this race. So we talk about the chase and the 10 turns, but you also got to take care of your equipment. You got to make sure that thing lasts until the end.
Well, and the points, and you talk about going to the garage and losing positions, the points are critical for Timothy Peters. So each of those positions would cost him points because he's the guy on the bubble right now for that last spot in the chase.
Yeah, I think he can probably stay on the racetrack and use fourth gear instead of third gear and stay in the lead lap. But you've got some guys here in contention with Reddick and Custer. Caitlin.
I just spoke with Tyler Reddick's crew chief, Doug Randolph. He said the plan right now is to stay out. We are good on fuel till the last lap, but he said basically we've just been tight all day long. He said, I don't think we're the best truck, but we're going to stay out and see what we can do here. Vince?
That'd be a long time to stay out there, but as we said, they get the good fuel mileage. We've had a number of laps run under caution. Certainly they are calculating it to make sure that they can get to the end. Take a gamble, and you never know how many more caution laps we're going to have before the end. We were talking about the problems with the 17, and here he comes onto pit road.
Yeah, he's coming down to hit his pit box. Shane Huffman is the crew chief. No mention as he was coming down pit road. You can see a crew member reaching inside of the truck, maybe giving him a shifter maybe to try to see if that's the issue on the 17. 4 tires and fuel, but they now plan to stay on the racetrack and ride this one out to the finish.
Stalling there on exit. I think you're right, Phil. You made the point about you're not going to lose as many spots on the track as you would trying to go to the garage and fix it. Right. Good call. More to come from Canada. Every weekday morning, Skip Bayless and Shannon Sharp go head-to-head on the day's hottest sports topics. Undisputed with Skip and Shannon premieres Tuesday, 9:30 a.m. Eastern at 6:30 a.m. Pacific, only on FS1. What a beautiful day here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Nice to sit out with the shorts on and something cool to drink and enjoy the trucks. And it has been a battle today on this 10-turn course.
What a fun bunch of fans, too.
And a great turnout year after year here.
Yeah, the infield just clobbered with people. The Canadians love their racing. How about we try to catch up with the Canadian, Cameron Haley, with his onboard camera. Cameron Haley, it's the FS1 booth. Michael Waltrip, do you copy?
I got you, Michael.
You've You've done a great job in that truck getting it up toward the front. You're running the top 5. You pitted there. What's your strategy, and how do you think you can rally through the field?
You know, we were on a perfect strategy there and had a little mistake on pit road, a loose tire, a black flag, and a pit stop we didn't want to take, but our ride CB Tundra has been really strong with the tire race. Ran up in the top 5 this entire time, and now it's time to do work.
So Cameron Haley currently trying to make up for that penalty that they suffered earlier on pit lane. And let's take a look at it and watch the tire that gets out of control here right there, and that's the penalty. Uncontrolled tire.
Yeah, and that's a tough break. You heard Cameron talking about the fact that they had a perfect strategy. They were sitting in a great position inside the top 5, and we lost contact with him there. But the reason why he's back in 20th is because of the issues on pit road. You got to be perfect if you're going to beat Cole Custer and these boys today, Hermie. What's the strategy down there for this team?
Michael, just to confirm on the 17, no third gear. It was not a shifter issue, but they do have 4 tires and are full of fuel. You can see Timothy letting the people know behind him he may have an issue. If Cole Custer wins this race, every point for the 17 between he and Hemrick could be very, very important. Caitlin.
Hermie, we've been talking about that fuel situation for the 8 truck of John Hunter Nemechek. I spoke with his crew chief, Jerry Kennan, just a bit ago. He said, we have been in saving mode ever since that last stop, and that last stop was on lap 25. And we also want to update you on Paul Halleck, the fueler on the 98. We saw the incident with him earlier on pit road. I just spoke with him. He has been released from the medical center. He is doing okay, but Rich Riley, the fueler on the 88 truck of Matt Crafton, is going to fill in for him.
We're so glad that he is okay. Thank you, Caitlin. As we get ready to go back to green here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, the 8 of John Hunter Nemechek, the 29 of Tyler Reddick. 18 laps to go, and we're green.
Watch the 00 truck of Cole Custer. He's on the inside there. He's got a really fast truck. He's got to be patient here, Phil. This is going to be really tough for him. He's just been out in front all day long. Now he's got some serious traffic.
He's able to get over in front of the 24 Casgrala. That moves him up to the 4th spot. Now he's going to try to get to the inside of the 23 of Gallagher. Didn't make it that time.
Well, the 23 of Gallagher has been sporty today. It's going to be interesting to watch the 00 of Custer try to get around Gallagher. Gallagher's made several attempts to pass others today when it hasn't quite worked, and it's almost gotten himself in trouble a time or two. It's going to be maybe a little dicey for Custer to get around Gallagher.
You know, Caitlin reported that Jerry Kennan said they've been in fuel-saving mode. He's not going to be able to save any fuel from now on because these guys are coming and they're going to try to heat him up. I think right now Tyler Reddick may be holding this group back a little bit.
You can see John Hunter is able to space himself a bit, and here comes that fast 00 truck looking to the inside of Spencer Gallagher. Gallagher's able to block a little bit there.
Heading into turn 8. Gallagher gets into the back end of Reddick. Custer's going to take advantage for position.
He's going to get that spot right there in the 20. He's going to get both spots. Move him up to 2nd.
Great move by Cole Custer.
Still there.
Custer moves into 2nd place.
Nice job.
And Spencer Gallagher is going to get 3rd from Reddick. So Gallagher got into the back end of Reddick, and it got both the 23 and the 29 a little sideways, and Custer pounced and got them both and went from 4th to 2nd.
That opened up a couple-second lead now for John Hunter Nemechek. Let's take a look at what happened here.
Check out this strong move on the inside as Spencer Gallagher drifts up the track, barely gets into the back of Reddick, but watch Custer. He was on the spot.
Then he has to go around the outside through turn number 9 and maintained as well.
So Cole Custer into 2nd. Spencer Gallagher is in 3rd. And Gallagher right there in the shadows of the 00. And they've gapped that 4th place truck now, Tyler Reddick, a bit.
Tyler Reddick has a bunch of fast trucks behind him right now. The 24, Casgrala.
Phil, anytime you're lined up behind a guy like that, it's just a matter of time till you either get that guy get to the inside of him or get him pushed out of the way.
And right now it's his teammate, Hemrick, that's going to try to get by on the outside.
Oh, and around goes the 29 of Reddick. It looked like maybe the 24 of Casgrala got into him a little bit.
All clear. Take straight. All clear.
See Casgrala get back on the racetrack. There's Johnny Sauter, the 21 truck, the 4 of Christopher Bell.
Our Camping World 15 to go. John Hunter Nemechek leads, but he's being chased by several drivers who need to win to get into the chase. And John Hunter Nemechek's already won one. He's got a spot in the chase, but those three guys chasing him, Cole Custer, Spencer Gallagher, and Daniel Hemrick, they need to win to get in. Well, certainly Custer and Gallagher do. Hemrick's got some points room he can wiggle with, but boy, he'd love to get a win and secure that spot.
Yeah, the guy he's battling for those points right now is Timothy Peters. He's back in the 24th position with some transmission issues. You can see the 29 just gets spun around there. I think Kaz Gralla got into the back of him. Does a nice job of keeping the truck heading in the right direction after the contact.
There's Hemrick trying to get by.
Reddick was running 4th at the time, and Gralla was 5th.
Boy, does a really nice job doing a 360. Here's another view of it. You see the 19 of Hemrick on the outside. Just a little bit of contact right there from Kaz Gralla on the 24. Cindric gets by as well with the 2 truck.
I believe Reddick was already in trouble before Kaz hit him. I think just on the inside he got loose down there. And look at John Hunter just hanging it out off the turns. He can't worry about how much gas he has now. He's got a nice gap, but every lap the second place truck of Custer's been a little faster than him.
Or not that lap. Cole Custer lost about a half a second to John Hunter Nemechek. Remember, we talked about John Hunter Nemechek having a very fast truck in practice. Didn't get the qualifying effort that he had hoped to. I think he started in the 13th spot, but he's been fast from the drop of the green flag.
Look at him. He's working that truck too, man. Slipping and sliding. And there's those fast trucks behind him heading this way.
Remember, John Hunter Nemechek last pitted on lap 25, but crew chief Jerry Kennan says we've saved enough fuel. We're going to be able to get to the end. How close will it be? Less than 15 to go. John Hunter Nemechek leads. To go at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. The NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. John Hunter Nemechek leads, but does he have enough gas to get to the end? The team says yes. When you look at where he last pitted lap 25, you don't know, but a big tangle. The 11 of Brett Moffitt and the 13 of Cameron Haley. Haley, one of those drivers that needed to win to make the chase, and there's a caution out on the track. So certainly John Hunter Nemechek, if you want to save fuel, glad to see that caution, but it bunches up the field again.
Yeah, good and bad news for John Hunter Nemechek. He had over a 2-second lead. He's going to be able to save a little bit more fuel, but he loses that lead.
This is a lot of caution laps he's been able to take advantage of, but golly, we didn't see anybody going 39 laps.
That's when you look at him pitting on lap 25, you think there's no way he's going to make it to the end. Lap 64. Crew chief says he can.
And they know how much he can save. They've tested that. They understand exactly how to coach John Hunter into saving as much fuel as he possibly can. Hope Cameron Haley doesn't need any fuel. It doesn't look like he's got anywhere to put it. His fuel pickup was sitting on the racetrack.
Tough break for the Canadian. Cameron Haley was hoping to come back and put it in victory lane. Hate to see that, as Rico Abreu was running just outside the top 10.
Had a really solid day going.
Man, when someone else has problems and you're Timothy Peters running around with a transmission issue racing to be in the chase.
Boy, Rico really got in and got the 13. Those are teammates.
Yeah, Gary Klute got a piece of that as well with a 51 truck. Take another view. Look at top of your screen.
The 81 of Ryan Truex got some damage there as well.
Look at all the damage on the 81. This is a big crash. A lot of trucks involved.
There's a damage that the 51 got from getting into the 98 of Rico Abreu.
On board with Cameron Haley.
That was his teammate Rico that got into him and turned him around. He tried to get it going really quick, and he's going to get hit pretty hard here by the 11 of Brett Moffitt.
Remember, Phil, as they're racing up that hill, that's a blind corner. They don't know what's happening on top of that hill. They brought speed in there and just couldn't miss the spinning truck.
Well, the fans got a good view of it sitting there on the hill. Some of the carnage still on track. Boy, a tough break for Cameron Haley. And there's Brett Moffitt, who, as Phil mentioned just a moment ago, came late to the party. Got some significant damage, so they'll try to patch up and repair that 13 truck as much as possible. But Cameron Haley is going to go to Chicagoland in a couple of weeks. One last race. He's going to have to win to make the chase.
You know, right now, John Hunter Nemechek, if he can hold on to that lead, these are the guys involved in that incident. We saw them all with pretty significant damage with Moffitt, Haley, Clute, Truex, and Abreu. There's a couple fans right now of John Hunter Nemechek, and that's Daniel Hemrick and Timothy Peters. They're pulling for John Hunter Nemechek or anybody like him that's already got the victory lane this year to win this race, so that we know we would get at least two guys in via points, or at least one guy in via points,
Right.
excuse me.
And you can see John Hunter, a little bit of damage on that left front fender. He's had that all day long. The tire rubbed early, but it hadn't been an issue lately. I don't think any of our front runners are going to come to pit road. You're not going to win the race if you come to pit road, that's for sure. And Phil, I was thinking that Custer would want to get up there and hustle, be all over the back of John Hunter Nemechek, so he would make him burn up that gas that he has. But John Hunter was just pulled away from the fastest truck all weekend long. What an impressive late run by John Hunter Nemechek.
A couple of takers from deeper in the pack, including the 29 of Tyler Reddick. Saw the 9 of William Byron come to pit road
He
as
actually
well.
spun a couple laps before the incident we saw just now, and he was back outside the top 15.
But as Michael said, if you're pitting now, you're not going to get back to the front to win this race. Who is going to win it? Less than 10 to go at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. It's been a tough day for Cameron Haley as he returns to his homeland at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Some heavy damage to that 13 truck and then most recent incident that brought out the yellow, the caution.
And Vince just traced that back to that problem they had on pit road when that tire got away. That put him back a little farther. We saw him running up in the top 5 prior to that. So just you can trace that situation right there back to that problem on that pit stop and that penalty.
Yeah, we talked about that you're going to have to be perfect today to beat Cole Custer. Well, that was Haley's issue. There's been other issues. The guy that's the most interesting one, and you know, we also were teased, you better mix up the strategy. John Hunter Nemechek pitted well outside the pit window, hoping for these caution laps. If you watch a lot of NASCAR, you'll see this. All the crew chiefs do that. They'll pit before they know they can make it, and then they just play the game of saving gas under caution, hoping they get the caution laps. We've seen a lot since that pit stop by John Hunter Nemechek, and we're probably going to see some more caution, Vince, because these guys are racing for their playoff lives. They've got to go for it, and that means contact, and that could be more cautions.
Well, every weeknight, NASCAR Race Hub brings you the best coverage, the biggest names, and the most access in the world of racing. And beginning tomorrow night, NASCAR Race Hub with a new time, 6 p.m. Eastern. And A.J. Allmendinger will be on the show tomorrow, along with, of course, Daniel Trotta and Adam Alexander.
How about Tuesday? Who's going to be on Tuesday?
I understand that already they're trying to, there's a line outside the studios because they all want to get in and get your autograph, Michael.
It just happens everywhere I go, Vince, but I'm happy. I get to go down and be a part of that great show, and I love, you know, I love the passion that the Fox family brings to NASCAR, and the fans enjoy the hub, and I look forward to being a part of it.
Don't forget, it's going to be 6 o'clock now. Don't get there too early. It's not 5 anymore. It's 6 o'clock.
I like it at 6 a little better because that way you sit at the dinner table.
Yes.
You know, in our house, we got the TV on there in the kitchen, watch a little race up, have a dinner.
Absolutely.
We're going to talk about favorite trophies that racers have collected over the years. I got a couple I like.
Well, it's all about the chase, right? And we've got this race yet to finish up, and then one more at Chicagoland Speedway before the chase begins September 24th at New Hampshire. Daniel Hemrick and Timothy Peters, the two that are in on points right now. But if Cole Custer or Spencer Gallagher, for instance, should happen to win this race, maybe those guys jump up into that 7th position, and now all of a sudden Peters goes from being on the bubble to out of the chase, and Hemrick would go to the bubble.
Yeah, right now, Timothy Peters is secure knowing that he has to go to Chicago and win, or we have to make sure there are no new winners.
And what you got to look at is the old point standings. You would never lose 33 points in one race, but with the chase you certainly can, because a win puts you ahead of that guy.
Well, John Hunter Nemechek is the leader. A little bit of question on whether he can make it on fuel.
Question in our minds. We're not sure there's a question in their minds.
You'll never find out from those crew chiefs. They're going to have a poker face right till the end.
Cole Custer our pole winner, fastest truck all weekend in that 00. He's going to battle John Hunter Nemechek into turn 1. 8 laps to go in Canada.
Custer strong on the outside. Contact.
Lot of it, and Kaz Grala goes around and gets into the wall. Caution is out.
Wow, what an aggressive run up the hill by our front row. It looked like Cole Custer was trying to pinch John Hunter down, and John Hunter wasn't having any of it. He ran him off the road. And then behind them, a spin and a great run by the youngster, Kaz Grala, is going to come to an end.
So strong, ran in the top 5 for a good part of this race.
And just think about something we said earlier. Everybody that has a problem, that's good news for Timothy Peters. He's racing for the championship. He'll gain that spot.
Kaz Grala about 4th row there in the blue. You'll see him 24.
Looked like he and Matt Crafton got together a little bit. Kaz, I think, may have turned it right to avoid running into the 88 of Crafton.
Cameron Haley off course again.
What about
no place to go on those restarts sometimes when you're all bunched up.
What about Haley? We saw him punted up at the top of the hill by his teammate Rico Abreu. They got to pit road, made some repairs to that truck, and he's in the top 20. It's not going to help him any. He's got to win.
Hey, guys, at the time of the caution, our leader was Cole Custer in the 00.
Wow.
Huge.
Yeah, but Phil, I got to tell you, Cole Custer was extremely aggressive with his line coming to the green. He tried to squeeze John Hunter Nemechek over to the right side of the road, and that caused them to have contact in the corner. Does John Hunter try to pay him back on this restart?
Well, you know he's going to be aggressive. He's an aggressive young man here.
Let's take a look at it now on board from the 51 of Gary Kloot. Saw that 24 of Kaz Grala go right in front. Lucky that didn't collect more than just the one truck.
That's got Kloot up inside the top 10 in his maiden voyage here.
So the 24 of Grala goes to the garage.
Watch the way that the 00 comes over right to the inside. And they just, that's arrow. That's fast enough where you're just going to get loose. But John Hunter did a great job of holding on to his truck.
And according to NASCAR, the 00 of Cole Custer was in front when the yellow came out. So Custer will be credited with the lead. And John Hunter Nemechek will start alongside of Custer when we have this restart. Let's check in with some crew chiefs downstairs with our pit reporters, beginning with Caitlin.
Thank you, Vince. I'm with Jerry Kennan, crew chief for John Hunter Nemechek. We've talked about this all throughout the day. Do you feel like you've got enough fuel for the end? And also, what does John need to do on this restart to get the win?
We should have enough fuel. We're not worried about that. You know, a little concerned about him putting a 00 in front of us right here because he beat us to the line, and we're supposed to be the control truck. But we'll go through it. We should be good to go.
Thank you. And the 8 truck, they already have a win this year, but they would love another one. Hermie?
Well, Marcus Richmond is the crew chief for Cole Custer. Getting down to showtime, that last restart, they gave your guy the front spot on this restart. How important will that be?
Oh, it's a game changer. You know, we pretty much knew that the 8 was going to run us up a racetrack. That's just how he races every week. I'm just glad we got a fast truck. Cole's done an awesome job. We're good on fuel. Just hopefully it don't stumble on us no more than there in turn 5, and we bring this thing home for a win.
That's Marcus Richmond. He knows how important being the control truck will be on this restart.
Well, and being the control truck means that the other truck, that truck that starts alongside of you on the front row, cannot take off before you do. So it gives you the opportunity to go first. As long as you don't spin the tires, there's mistakes that can be made from the control truck position. Check out this restart. Let's see if the strategy here. We know that the 8 truck is the control truck. You can see as they come down, you want to, if you're a 00, you want to keep that 8 truck squeezed over to the right. It'll mess up his angle to the corner. He tried to squeeze him over, but John Hunter, being the control truck, he would have none of that. He pushed up to the right, but when they got down in the corner, the 8 truck got loose and pushed Custer up the road. Be interesting to see how this plays out this time, guys. It's the roles are reversed.
It actually ran the 00 over in the grass on exit of number 1. This is from Cole Custer in the 00. He gives him plenty of room down there, but John Hunter's going to go over the curb and then slide out and make some contact with Cole Custer. Cole through the dirt right here.
Jerry Kennan, the crew chief of the 8 truck of John Hunter Nemechek, indicating that they thought maybe they had been in front when that yellow came out, and NASCAR were taking a look at it, but indicating that the 00 of Cole Custer was indeed in front when they passed that timing line.
You have to remember the scoring loops are what they go by. They will not go by video unless it's the end of the race. So what NASCAR determined with the time of the caution, the 00 was ahead at the most recent scoring loop.
Coming back to a restart with 5 to go. The stakes are high in Canada. Beautiful Toronto off in the distance. It is a picturesque setting. Only one of the finest cities in the world. And
you've been up in that tower?
Have indeed.
Me too.
What'd you think?
It was high.
Yes. William Byron and his dad went up in it the other day.
Friday night.
Picturesque setting here as well. Used to be called Mo Sport, now the Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. Shout out to our friend Ron Fellows and company, the owners of this facility, for just a wonderful weekend. The staff has been helpful, friendly. It's just been a great experience here this weekend.
It has been every year we've been here.
Yeah, it certainly has. And also shout out to our cameramen and women all around this racetrack. This is a long facility, and we got to have a lot of people to cover this race. And what a great race it's been. And I think the drama that we talk about building at the end, it's here. I can't wait to see how Cole Custer dictates this restart. We saw John Hunter push Cole Custer out of the groove to retain to try to keep the lead. Now, how will Custer play it?
Coming to the restart here, there will be 4 laps to go. Cole Custer will be the control truck. He'll choose the inside. John Hunter Nemechek will have the outside. What do you have to do to protect those positions? Mike, first of all, you take the lead position of Cole Custer. What are you wanting to do on this restart?
You've got to get that initial launch. You want to get that nose out in front of the guy you're racing when you get down to turn 1 so you can take advantage of having the inside. If he gets his nose in first, he can pinch you down. You're going to get loose. You could spin out.
Phil, how about you take the role of John Hunter Nemechek? What do you want to do?
I want to squeeze him over on the front straightaway. Squeeze him over so he's got a bad angle getting in that corner. Maybe has to back off a little bit early where I can swing around the outside.
Remember, John Hunter Nemechek already has a win. He's in the chase. Cole Custer, he's not going to point his way into this chase. He has to win one of these final 2 races before the chase begins. Today is his chance.
And right behind them, Spencer Gallagher, he's looking for a playoff spot as well. He's in 3rd spot. He's hoping those front 2 get together. He can pounce.
And you know what Austin Cindric wants? A win. He just wants a win.
So keep an eye on that 00 of Custer and the 23 of Gallagher, who lines up right behind him. Those 2 guys both, they need the win to get into the chase.
I don't know if we can run 4 laps without a caution.
The restart bringing us to 4 to go at Canada.
There it is. That's that big fire-off that we talked about. Custer got it. John Hunter stumbled on the start.
Gallagher slips into 3rd. Cindric is 4th. Crafton trying to take a look around Cindric.
He's got Hemrick right beside him, too. Crafton and Hemrick side by side.
Cole Custer with the lead. John Hunter Nemechek chases. Spencer Gallagher in 3rd.
Look at these guys arguing over space. They're not gonna let anybody have anything now. It's gonna be full contact racing.
The 00 has been the fastest truck all weekend long. Is he fast enough to keep that 8 truck behind him? He's got to get enough of a gap that the 8 truck can't get to his bumper, guys.
They're in turn 5, such a tight spot. Off that turn and then down the long Mario Andretti straightaway. Some contact back in the field. Everybody fighting for position. Somebody off course into the grass.
Cole Custer wants to see all these guys sorted out. You guys keep going straight. I've got this race in my hands. I want to finish it up right here.
And the caution is out, Michael, just as you said. Cole Custer doesn't want to see the yellow, and there it is as the 50 of Travis Kvapil is slowed in turn 1.
That's a shame. you do your job perfectly like we saw Custer do.
He's going to have to do it again.
Now you got to do it again.
But John Hunter Nemechek will learn a little bit from that previous restart. Needs to be a little bit better this one.
Another restart. Will it help determine the outcome? You betcha. Under caution at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park in the final laps for the NASCAR Camping World Truck Series. You see the repairs being made down there right around turn 10. That's on the inside of the track. Watch the 22 truck of Austin Wayne Self as he comes off turn 9. Get into the back end and into the tires. Looks like maybe he had a little bit of help.
Here's Tyler Reddick. He's going to try to get to his inside here. A little bit of contact. So that could have done something to that right rear tire and maybe caused that incident. Obviously, right there, the right rear tire is down. So more than likely, that contact with the 29 of Reddick cut that tire down, and that's why Austin Wayne Self got into the tire barrier.
And the crews are working frantically to repair the barriers, get those tires pushed back into position, and try to get this race restarted before we have to head to overtime. And one guy that doesn't want to see overtime is definitely John Hunter Nemechek.
Travis Quapple came to a stop in turn 1 as well, so he's being pushed back, not involved in that incident with the 22 at all. It's a separate incident, but the caution is out, and Michael mentioned John Hunter Nemechek not wanting to run any more caution laps than necessary because he's already short on fuel. We believe he's going to be very close to getting to the finish anyway.
There's the overtime line. If they throw the green flag and the restart's clean to that line, then the next flag will end the race. Here's the rules.
And we'll make one attempt for a finish with a clean restart, and it's determined to be a clean restart if that leader gets to the overtime line under green flag racing conditions, and that overtime line was in turn 3. We saw it just a moment ago.
There's a lot of stuff that can go on before we get to turn 3.
We saw it twice now.
Yeah,
they've had issues down in turn 1. And Phil, these guys aren't just riding around waiting for the green flag. They've got a job to do inside of these trucks. Cole Custer's got to keep those tires cleaned off. He's got enough gas, so it's important for him to rev his engine and make sure it's clean and ready to go. John Hunter Nemechek is worrying about saving some gas, having enough to go into overtime if that's necessary, but also having to keep those tires clean. The tires are hot. You roll around here under caution, it can pick up excess rubber and grit and dirt, and they won't stick as well in that all-important first corner.
That was such a great restart by Cole Custer that last time. He needs another one of those. It took most of the good part of a lap for John Hunter Nemechek to even get back to close to his rear bumper.
So it's going to be an overtime finish. Cole Custer will be the lead truck on this restart. And remember, getting to turn 3 and that overtime line is key. If he does that under green flag conditions, the leader, no matter who it happens to be, gets to that overtime line in turn 3, then it will be an official start, and that will set us toward the finish in this one.
Cole Custer continuing to try to save some fuel because he's not totally out of the woods. He pitted on lap number 31, so we've gone, he'll have to run 35, 36 laps. Again, a lot of those caution laps and not as many as John Hunter Nemechek.
And if you walk around the garage area this morning and ask how far could you go?
32. 28 laps.
Maybe 34 at the very most. Well, let's try to run 39 and win a race. You want to?
And he's going to be more than 39 because we're going to go overtime. They will give the field one to go when we get over to turn 5. So that doesn't mean that we're not going to go green next time. We'll have to see what the NASCAR officials decide to do if they feel like the racetrack's ready.
This will be the second overtime here in our 4 races at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. The first one came back in 2013. The first race for the Truck Series here at what was then known as Mosport, and that was Chase Elliott and Ty Dillon getting together in the final turn 10, right before the finish.
We talk about full contact racing. Ty Dillon could sniff victory lane. Chase Elliott dove to the inside and punted him out of the way.
The interesting thing is that Ty Dillon, his crew chief that day was Marcus Richmond. Today, Marcus Richmond is the crew chief of the 00 Cole Custer, who leads this race, and Cole Custer is driving the truck that Chase Elliott drove that day to win the race. I mean, you're talking about connecting the dots.
Yeah, and they were talking about where that truck that Ty Dillon was driving is. It was a backup truck for one of our teams here this weekend, so it's fun to trace the heritage lineage of these trucks.
And we only have the one road course race, so it's not like these trucks would have an opportunity to race a number of times and either get used up, wrecked out, or whatever. So these trucks have a second life and a third life.
And when you get a good one, you keep hold of it, right?
Absolutely.
They constantly update them, but the cage, the most part of the truck is the same vehicle.
Talked about Daniel Hemrick's truck, same truck that Tagliani had the pole with, lost a transmission on the last lap. Also the same truck Ryan Blaney won with 2 years ago.
Daniel Hemrick is in an old-fashioned points battle right now with Timothy Peters. He's keeping an eye not only on the leaders, hoping he can sneak through and get the victory, but also how many positions can he put between he and Peters. Timothy's got a transmission issue. He's rolling along back in the 20th position. Currently, Hemrick's up in the 6th spot.
You know, we told you at the beginning of the show, it's all about the chase. Who's going to get in? Well, Cole Custer isn't going to be able to point his way in. He has to win to get in, and he's the leader right now and will be the control truck on this restart. But in third place, Spencer Gallagher, maybe a little bit of a surprise today in how well he has run, but that 23 truck has been stout, and he also is in a position win, and he's in. You can't take for granted that maybe you'd have an opportunity in the finale before the chase at Chicagoland in a couple of weeks. If you got a chance, you better take it right now today.
And there's no guarantee these two guys in the front row aren't going to get together and open it up for that second row, which is that 23 of Spencer Gallagher and the 2 of Austin Cindric.
This 23 team is really hitting their stride. They were strong at Bristol. We saw him run to the lead at Michigan last week, and now he's sitting there with a chance to get one here in Canada. Can Gallagher slip by our front row? These guys have got to make a perfect restart again.
Cole Custer in the 00. John Hunter Nemechek in the 8. The restart. It's overtime in Canada.
Oh, look at Nemechek spin the tires.
Custer got a great start, and Gallagher moves into second. So the top 2, Cole Custer and Spencer Gallagher, win, and you're in the chase. Remember, this is overtime. They got to get to turn 3, get past that overtime line. There's turn 2. Custer is down there, headed towards turn 3.
A lot of blocking going on their mid-pack.
And they have crossed the overtime line.
What about Spencer Gallagher? He knows a chance to race for the Truck Series Championship is just out his windshield. Will he put the bumper to our leader?
This is the place to do it if you're going to do it right here in turn 5. The slowest part of the racetrack.
Custer got through there better than Gallagher did. Custer gaps him a little bit. John Hunter Nemechek now inside of Gallagher. Gallagher doesn't want to let Nemechek get in there or he won't have a chance to get to Custer.
They're going to have a left-hander coming up here. Nemechek has that spot back.
Wow. A big move. And now Cindric rubbing doors with Spencer Gallagher.
Spencer clears Cindric. John Hunter's got his sights set on Cole Custer.
Around goes Gallagher.
Goes Gallagher. And Cole Custer is coming to get the white flag. 1 lap to go. Spencer Gallagher is going to get his truck refired down in turn 10.
Gallagher went around off the front bumper of the 2 of Cindric.
Now can John Hunter Nemechek catch Cole Custer? Remember, if Custer wins, he secures a spot in the chase. Nemechek's already got that spot locked up. He's looking for win number 2 of the season.
There's nobody going to run this lap any harder than John Hunter Nemechek.
It's the last lap at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park, and Cole Custer trying to hold on for the win. Into turn 5. Custer gets through it.
Nemechek's gained a little bit of ground on him here, off of 5.
This is a tough corner we're coming to. If Cole Custer is conservative at all, John Hunter Nemechek can get there.
Under the bridge, coming to turn 8. Nemechek right on the bumper of Cole Custer. Custer getting through. Here they come through turn 9. Nemechek gives him a little bump. Custer hanging on. Nemechek gets into it. John Hunter Nemechek and Cole Custer Custer. They're wrecking and spinning, coming to the line. Who is it going to be? Side by side through the grass.
I think it looked like Nemechek to me, but I'm not sure. Did Hemrick get by both of them?
I'm not sure anybody knows who crossed the line first. Waiting on NASCAR to make the official call. John Hunter Nemechek and Cole Custer were off the track in the grass when they crossed the area of the start-finish line, and Daniel Hemrick actually came through on the track to cross the line first. But who's going to be declared the winner? And remember, if Hemrick wins, he locks himself into the chase as well. Wow. Just when you think you've seen it all.
Well, we started at the very top of the show, Michael. We talked about the finishes we've had here. We felt like it would come down to that last corner once again, and that's exactly what happened.
NASCAR officials still trying to determine, as they look at the replays, who's going to be declared the winner. Well, John Hunter Nemechek tried to move Cole Custer out as they came through 9 and 10, some contact.
I tell you what, this last corner has set up some crazy finishes. We saw one of the most amazing passes ever by Ryan Blaney to win it, and then a couple of guys that just decided to put the bumper to each other.
Without contact, by the way. Ryan Blaney's pass was without contact.
And that's my favorite one.
By far.
Today was a little bit dramatic.
Jerry Kennan waiting on official word. We have not yet been told who is the winner.
It looked like from our angle, Vince, that it was John Hunter Nemechek, but
I'm not sure where Hemrick was when all that was going on. Because I think Austin Cindric was going around in the last corner as well.
Somebody told John Hunter he won.
John Hunter Nemechek is doing the burnouts, but just want to reiterate, we have not yet been told from NASCAR which driver is the winner. But obviously John Hunter believes he's the one. What a crazy finish.
Yeah,
here today.
That was a little bit over the top, I think, with the pushing and shoving coming into the last corner. But we've seen it before, and we'll see it again.
I think the golden rule is you race people like you want to be raced.
Still waiting as the NASCAR officials are in the room right next to us, and they are still studying the videotape and taking a look. The official decision has not yet come down.
Is he in the victory lane? Where is he?
Hey, it's not official.
Trying to determine, as they look at replay over replay, who crossed the finish line first. John Hunter Nemechek wants the flag, and they're not going to give it to him yet. Oh, now we got it. Cole Custer and Nemechek. Cole Custer did not like the way that race ended. Did not like the way John Hunter Nemechek moved him.
You know, Phil, you talked about racing people the way you want to be raced. As John Hunter Nemechek heads into the chase for the championship this fall, you've got a guy like Cole Custer that feels like he'd been done wrong. That could injure Chase a little bit prematurely.
Yeah, he may make it a mission to make sure that 8 truck doesn't go very far in the chase, because he felt like he was certainly wrong there.
And remember, John Hunter Nemechek already had a spot in the chase. Cole Custer, that was his opportunity. Let's go downstairs and check in with Hermie Sadler. He's with Cole Custer.
Well, a lot of emotion. Your thoughts the last lap and after the race?
I don't know. We had a really fast truck. Just got taken out. He hit me going into the second to last corner. Then he hit me again. So I don't know what else to do. But that's how it is, I guess.
NASCAR has not announced a winner of the race yet. What has your team told you, if anything?
I don't know. They don't have a picture of it, but I felt like we were even with him or ahead of him. So I don't know what to tell you.
It's Cole Custer. A lot of emotion, a lot on the line as we wait for NASCAR's decision. Vince?
Well, the race has been over almost 5 minutes now, and still not a winner determined.
Yeah, I'm gonna call the 8 a winner from the video we just saw.
Yep.
He was definitely ahead of the 00 Cole Custer when they got to the line, and it looked like they both were ahead of maybe the 19 of Hemrick.
You think possibly NASCAR is considering any sort of penalty for what happened here? You can see the truck on the right looks like about a half a foot or so ahead.
It looks like the start-finish line right there, doesn't it, guys?
And the 8 of John Hunter Nemechek is just a little bit ahead. As you see, that thick white line is the finish line, and that certainly looks to be the 8 at that point. But again, NASCAR has not officially announced a winner.
NASCAR, remember years ago at
Sonoma.
Yeah,
Ricky Rudd knocked Davey Allison out of the way, I think.
Yes, and they penalized him a time penalty, and that allowed Ricky Rudd to win that race, even though he was turned around there when they got to the last corner there at Sonoma. He had a big enough gap over third that Ricky Rudd was able to get that car refired then and got to the line second, but they penalized Davey Allison.
And that was in 1991 when Davey drove to victory lane out there. Check this out. Here's a couple of hits that Custer was speaking of.
There's no question, I think, with that video that the 8 actually crossed the finish line first, and we have been told that John Hunter Nemechek has been declared the winner.
Well, he is clearly ahead.
Really, really feel for that young man, Cole Custer, driving that 00 car.
What about the team?
Truck, excuse me.
What about the team? Marcus Richmond, all those guys that put together the best truck that was in Canada. I don't have any problem with the bump, the initial bump into the corner. It was squeezing them out into the dirt. That seemed to cross a bit of a line, and I think that's certainly that Cole Custer agreed with that. But, you know, we live in a different day today. These guys really press hard and push hard and don't have a problem knocking a guy out.
Yeah. But again, you got to remember now, you don't be too surprised if something happens, the same thing to you later on.
John Hunter Nemechek declared the winner. Maybe a bit controversial, but he's the winner at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. NHRA qualifying from Indianapolis will be coming up next, but we're not finished here yet. Stay tuned. A dramatic finish in Canada. John Hunter Nemechek declared the winner. Well, the fans here today saw a dramatic and what will be debated in some circles as a controversial finish here at Canadian Tire Motorsports Park. It all came down to Cole Custer leading into the final turn, and John Hunter Nemechek got into the back end of him, and they literally went to the checkered flag in the grass. John Hunter Nemechek in the 8 eventually declared the winner after a wait of about 5 minutes or so as NASCAR evaluated all of the replays, and we'll show you a series of replays here, give you every angle possible as to what happened here down the stretch. But Cole Custer had the lead coming to the final turn, and John Hunter Nemechek moved him.
There was plenty of room down there on the racetrack inside of the 00. He was right at the edge of the racetrack. And
that's how they crossed the finish line side by side, going through the grass.
And this is the finish, but it's just the start of the disagreement between these two guys.
So there's the bump in turn 9 and through 9 and 10, and eventually Nemechek and Custer got into the grass.
Custer
and that's how they finished.
Really didn't have any racetrack to race on there at the end. He got pushed over in the grass and then pushed into the outside wall.
afterwards, Cole Custer went after John Hunter Nemechek. Broken up quickly. That was the extent of the confrontation, although several of the team members expressed their displeasure. Here's where it all began in turn 9.
That's the initial bump, and Cole survived that. This bump shoves Custer the wrong way. Still okay here, but then just crowds up into the road.
Nemechek just wasn't going to give him any racetrack to get to the start-finish line.
Well, some will call it controversial, but there's no question about the young man that's in victory lane, and that's John Hunter Nemechek. Caitlin?
Well, it is a tore-up 8 truck for John Hunter Nemechek, but it is in victory lane nonetheless. Lots of celebration, giving a hug to Dad. John Hunter, what were those closing laps like? That final lap, what was it like for you in the driver's seat?
I caught the 00 there, and we didn't wreck him for the win. Robin's racing, but if I would have been in the same spot, he would have done the same thing to me to get a win. So you have to do everything you can to get a win here. But I can't thank all my guys enough. They worked their butts off. We didn't qualify like we wanted to yesterday. I made a mistake on my lap and didn't end up in the second round. So I can't thank all these guys enough. My dad, Jerry Kinnan, B-Bar, everyone that puts everything into this, Chevrolet, and thanks for the fans for coming out. It was an awesome crowd. Hopefully we can continue to do this.
Now, I know Cole Custer was a little displeased with you there at the end. Do you plan on having a conversation with him after this?
No, we'll just kind of see where it goes. If we have a conversation, we will. If not, we won't.
Thank you. John Hunter Nemechek, a 2-time winner so far this season, Vince.
Well, there will be a lot of debate, as you heard John Hunter Nemechek say he didn't wreck him for the win. See who stands on which side of the fence of that argument as you look at the chase standings, when with John Hunter Nemechek having won a race already. That's win number 2, so that puts him into the number 3 position in the chase standings. And it still leaves Daniel Hemrick and Timothy Peters holding on for points. How do you see those two guys positioned going into the final race before the chase at Chicagoland in a couple of weeks?
Well, we know now that one guy will point his way in. We have room for one more winner at Chicago. That could be a new winner. That could be Cole Custer, Cameron Haley. So we know one guy, and more than likely with Hemrick with a 24-point lead, is pretty secure to get that point spot at least.
You know how emotions run high after a race, and they don't always subside. Remember what happened last year in the chase for the Sprint Cup Championship. Joey Logano and Matt Kenseth had a difference of opinion, and we all know how that ended.
Let's go downstairs, check in with Hermie.
Well, Daniel Hemrick, you finished 3rd. More importantly, with 8 being declared the winner, still 2 spots open for the chase. So in that regard, a good day for you guys on a solid day on the racetrack as well.
Yeah, absolutely. We did what we wanted to do. We executed all day. We put ourselves in position. That was nothing but Camping World Truck Series racing there last lap. I had a heck of a view of it. I was hoping maybe if they got to get a little earlier, we were going to beat them back to the line. But first off, I got to say sorry to my teammate there, Cindric. I didn't mean to get into him. They're getting into 9 and 10. He missed 9. I got to run on him, and I locked the brakes up in 10. And he ran a solid race, so I hate for him for me to cause that for him there at the end. But all in all, just proud of these BKR guys. They brought a fast draw type Ford F-150. We put ourselves in position again and came up short again. But hopefully the fans enjoyed that. That was pretty chaotic, but that's what the series is all about.
That's Daniel Hemrick. He finishes 3rd.
Chaotic indeed, but I've got to like Hemrick's chances from a points perspective of where he stands to be. If there's just one that gets in on points, I like Hemrick's chances.
I can't wait to Chicagoland. I mean, we've got so much drama. Not only the disagreement between these 2 young racers, but Timothy Peters and Hemrick trying to race their way in to be a part of the playoffs, race for the championship. We've got it all.
I wish it was next week, but we have to wait a couple weeks for it.
Friday, September 16th, Chicagoland Speedway under the lights. We'll go racing for the final race before the chase.
Some great stories, though, up in the top 10. Christopher Bell rebounded from a poor qualifying effort, getting in the wall, finished with a top 5.
For Hermie Sadler, Caitlin Vincie, Michael Waltrip, and Phil Parsons, I'm Vince Welch. Going to Indianapolis for NHRA Nationals qualifying. Stay tuned. John Hunter Nemechek, the winner in Canada.